The comedy, it's something completely different, because farmers are, well, they're only happy, I suppose, when they're meeting other farmers and talking about farming, but the likes of the comedy is something completely different, and I absolutely loved going down to like perform at Glasgow Stand on a Saturday night, because it'd be packed and there was an atmosphere. It was just something completely different, you know.
And how do you think the urban audience take to some of the farming comedy?
Fine, I think, because obviously you want to go for the mass market, although without the rural things are very much my roots, and the kind of core, and that's why maybe I'm a bit different than your skinny jean comedian. But at the same time, you're wanting to try and track. I would love to be able to entertain loads of folk. I mean,
yeah.
So it's just trying to find a balance that majority of folk. It's trying to retain that thing about being authentic, and using growing up in the rural Scotland as your kind of base, but at the same time you don't want to be as narrow-minded where you only folk in Perthshire are going to get it. You know, you want to expand. So I would like to think I could entertain any audience. But Glasgow actually has a huge kind of Highlands and Islands, and because traditionally folk would leave the Highlands and Islands and go to Glasgow. But nowadays, you know, the student thing and all the rest of it, because it's so big, so the Central Belt's so big, so even if you're only appealing to maybe 10% of that crowd, they're going to come and see you. That's still a hell of a folk.
Yeah, oh God, isn't it? Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So what do you think? Obviously, life will change a wee bit in July when you become a dad.
Yeah.
But even kind of taking that into account, what do you think your kind of long-term comedy ambitions are?
Well, we're hopefully going to get a pilot episode of The Farm. That's the thing on iPlayer.
I heard a rumour about that. Yes.
So we're just waiting on the BBC giving us the go-ahead. Chris Forbes, who I write it with, we've kind of got a kind of rough pilot script there ready to go if we get the go-ahead. But the important thing is to keep my farm diaries going out every couple of months, because that keeps you out there. And I should say that if it hadn't been for that, there's no way I could have done a big tour like last year. That's really helped me massively get my stuff out there. So, so keep doing that. Just trying to write a new hour or hour and a half for taking on tour next year. Do a big tour of Scotland next year, I think, and just keep, like I'm very fortunate. I'm breaking the news. There's 2-3 other things coming through, so this whole thing might just be a bit of a fad now, or a fashion. So 5 years down the line, everyone might want a change, or I might be wanting a change. So I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah, it's hard to predict.
Let's just have a kick at the ball now and see where we can take it. And if not, I'm not worried, because I don't think I want to be in my mid-50s trying to break through. I'm I'm only 41 just now. I know it'll be different once Babby comes along, but it's no different than trying to look after suckler cows and 400 sheep. So,
exactly. You need fed every day. Yeah.
And as long as I can just try to write new material and have an appetite and a desire to do it, I'll keep doing it. But the farm will always be behind me.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess with the comedy, if there ever gets a point where you think, oh, do you know what, I'm not really enjoying this anymore, then you can just pull the plug. It's all in your control, isn't it?
Yes, aye, totally. Yeah. I mean, folk ask me if I not went down south or that yet. I mean, the furthest south I went is Newcastle. It's just maybe the time thing, and I would need to get better organised, and it would need to be worthwhile us doing that. But the ultimate step would be to get noticed or something for like going on live at Apollo or something like that, But that's a different type. I don't know if I don't think I'm broad enough for that. I don't know, but just now I'm very happy with where we're going, and the tour last year was just phenomenal. So we'll just see what the crack is.
Yeah, no boundaries and no limitations, but also maybe no expectations. So you just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, I mean, I think
you enjoy.
If I was just to focus solely on my comedy, I think I'd get quite down. Well, not down, but I think it would scunner me. It would totally scunner me if that's all I had to do. was just
Yeah.
gig and gig and
Yeah,
gig. It's
there'd
all
be
right
so
if you're
much
selling out
pressure.
the thousands,
Yeah.
but I'm quite happy farming, and I know that, and this might sound a bit big-headed, but I'm relatively confident to know that as long as I've got a good show for next year, that I would be able to maybe, do Aberdeen and Inverness and Perth and Edinburgh and places like that. And
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm Scottish, but I don't sound it because I grew up in England. But I've noticed, you can tell me to shut up if you don't want to answer this, quite a few times today you've said, I don't want to sound big-headed, but you're very humble and modest. And I think it's a Scottish trait to be humble, even if you were selling out gigs at, live at the Apollo or whatever, you'd be like, well, yeah, but yeah, I don't want to be big-headed. People should be proud of their achievements. Yeah, don't be modest.
Arrogant,
I know they are, and I just find it. Yeah, everybody, particularly in rural Scotland, is so modest about what they've done. If you'd said what you'd said without the preface of "I don't want to sound big-headed," but
I think you just don't want folks saying, "Oh God,
no,
who does he think he is?"
And they don't, and they probably wouldn't. But everyone always worries about that.
I heard this. I listened to Radio Scotland once, and I think it had been a guy that, I don't know what he'd been good at. I think he was the World Highland Games champion or something. Say he was like the World Caber tossing guy or something. But his daily job was he worked on a builder's site. And he came away with like a gold medal or something, world champion. But he says that was the best thing for bringing them down to earth back on a Monday morning, just, mixing cement.
Exactly. In your case, the animals don't know. They don't know or care how famous you get, do they? Even Floss isn't even aware, and they're just still expecting fed and looked after, regardless.
Aye, absolutely.
Regardless of whether you've been on TV the night before or not. Yeah, it's interesting.
Maura gets annoyed because I've been going out for 3 years now, and it's only the last couple of years where things have taken off for me. So folk asked, somebody asked me, like, did you know Jim before he not made it, but before he became successful? I was like, no, I knew him when he was shit. I'm not in love with him for his fame and money. She was really annoyed about that.
Stuck it out, and I'm still
and
here.
She is actually, because you've all to start somewhere, and more like, bless her, she'd come down and pick her off the train for Inverness on a Friday night, take her to some bloody gig somewhere.
Oh, right.
I was maybe getting 50 quid for some men's club somewhere or that, and she stuck with me.
Yeah, so you knew she was a keeper. She was like dedicated to the cause. Yeah.
So it was nice to finally repair a bit.
Yeah.
Buy her a patio, or French doors.
I don't remember what year it was, but I remember a friend and I came into Edinburgh and watched you during the Fringe at the stand, and Morag was featuring in your set, and we came away, and I said to my friend, I was like, do you think Morag's real?
Yeah, well, especially with that name. Morag from Inverness.
And she was like, yeah, I definitely think she's real. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I think maybe it's because exactly that. I was like, you couldn't pick the name and where she's from better if you tried.
She's not real, but no, she's definitely real.
What did all your family members think about it?
Great. Because like Carla and Claire are quite go-ahead people, and they've got their own businesses. So I was kind of lagging behind a bit. So
they've both got their different diversifications, and now yours is even more unique than that. Yeah.
So delighted. Really delighted for us. And I'm very proud of them. Actually, they've done well, and they're both respective things. So we're great, and we're quite a close family. Actually, I'll speak to them once a week or that, or have a blether, So even though Claire lives up at Fraserburgh, we'll keep in touch and. No, they're great, and not at one point, even when I was starting off in the early days, or especially Mum, maybe if there was, I don't know, enough going on here, not at one point did they ever say, actually, what you doing, or is it a bit daft?
They supported right from the beginning.
Yeah. I think maybe if I was constantly dying on my arse.
Somebody somewhere would have told you if that was happening.
Yeah, well, the audience just wouldn't have laughed. Exactly. You wouldn't have got booked again. But I've just been very fortunate.
It reminds me a wee bit of Miranda, obviously Miranda.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's got her on-screen mum, And then quite often she's on TV with her real mum. And I was thinking, when I was watching you, I thought, I wonder how Jim's mum feels about the on-screen mum, whose name I can't remember, but she's the
Annie Louise Ross.
She's the granny from Katie Moore.
Yes, that's everyone remembers her. She's lovely.
Is she good?
She's lovely,
Has your
woman.
mum met her?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because they filmed the farm up here.
I thought they had. Yeah.
So it's great. I don't have to go anywhere. So she's just from Dundee.
Oh, is she?
So she totally gets that was important.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want a Glasgow person trying to put on an accent. We wanted somebody that knew about how they talk up here, and so being from Dundee, she knows about going to the berries and all that kind of stuff, and she's great, and she just looks the part.
She does.
You know these old farmers' mothers that are as hard as nails. You know, it's like, I don't know if you remember before Farming Life, about 10 years ago, there was a thing called The Farm. I think it was just called The Farm, actually, and it was a documentary. It was like Farming Life.
Yes, I was a bit involved with that because I was working for the NFU at the time, and we worked with them to find the farmers. So I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
And I think there's one old mother. I think she's driving the JCB for the guys up clearing gutters and then she's in making the porridge and just these kind of old hardy.
Yeah.
You know, and they were all probably brought up milking cows. You know, with no heat. Houses with no central heating.
Oh gosh, hard. They would have had a hard life. Yeah.
I mean, we don't know how lucky we've got it. I know we moan about farming, but like my granddad's generation, we'd come out in the morning like this and cut neeps. Mm-hmm. You know, cut neeps for cattle and things like that, and physically bending down in cold weather and chucking them into, you know.
And no quad bike to go around and check stock. You know, I
mean, I know there was always plenty, labour was cheap and all the rest of it, but God, it was a pretty tough shift, I think, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, even things like stooking corn, you know, go out in the blazing sunshine and it'd be alright if you were on the reaper, you know, behind the horse. That's the fun job. But then you've got the folk having to stook the sheaves and the stalks, the scratch you,
torn to shreds.
And then what happens if it pisses with rain or the technology is funny because I always when they first put out the first combine harvesters, they must have thought it was amazing. You know, this machine that can cut and thresh. Some of the early combine harvesters, they didn't have a grain tank on it to fill into a bogie. It was a bagger unit. They would fill these like 200 weight sacks of wheat on the combine and then just drop it off on the field. So then another guy had to come along and lift it off the ground, and all before the rain came.
Yes.
You know, like, what? You know, it's just like, we're bloody lucky, you know.
Oh, yeah. In so many ways.
Yeah.
And even just take Twitter as an example. You know, people are farmers are sharing so much knowledge and information and stats and support, even just through that one example of a social media platform. So if you add all them together, people are so lucky in terms of what they can learn and share with each other just through technology. Yeah. And that's, you know, even before you've got, you know, the GPS on the tractor and this, that, and the other, and all your your
definitely. It's funny what you're saying about Twitter, because I follow a lot of farmers on Twitter, and some of them are brilliant and good at fighting their corner and sharing the technical information too. But you can get sucked into it too. And I try and put a funny tweet out now and again. But if you're to sit and scroll, I can see how folk get bogged down and so embroiled in it.
Yeah.
It's that kind of like sticks and stones thing.
Yeah.
You don't take it. You know, folk get, and you see these threads, the debate threads. Like, I just stay away from all that, and you know.
And it's the same with the Instagram generation, isn't it? Like, you know, people are portraying these perfect lives that are, you know, because it's taken them a week to set up one photo to make everything look like it's ideal. But today, it genuinely is sunny and blue skies.
No, it's the first day. I think Sunday was a good. It's the first day the sheep have just been sitting, lying content.
Happy, and that must be a good feeling for you.
Yeah. So they're looking quite well, actually. Before this kind of wet, it's only since January it's been really wet. The back end wasn't too bad. There was plenty of grass. They're looking well, but now we'll get them started on the feeding now, and they'll get their jags, and it's the next 6 weeks is crucial for them, really. So
Yeah, it's kind of
that's when the lamb's
onwards
growing
and
the
upwards
most.
now. And when the weather's
Yeah.
like this, you start to feel optimism, don't you?
But that's what I
Yeah.
said